Okay. Hello everyone, myself Nikhil Bhagat. I am working as assistant professor in the Department of Physics at MSP College Manora. Today I will deliver the lecture on the topic quantum mechanics. Thanks all the coordinators, organizer and the convener of this program of Sri Shivaji Science College Chikli for inviting me, and very good initiative taken by the department for organizing the lecture series on the concept of modern physics on the occasion of National Science Day. So let's start. So classical mechanics and quantum mechanics. When the classical mechanics is applicable and quantum mechanics when will be applicable? So when we deal with the macroscopic particle, when we deal with the macroscopic particle means those particles we can observe directly by our naked eyes. So that kind of the motion of particles are studied under the classical mechanics. म्हणजे जे गोष्टी आपण डोळ्याने पाहू शकतो, जसं एखादी कार आहे किंवा व्हेकल कोणतं ते रोडने चाललेलं आहे, ठीक आहे, त्या असल्या ज्या गोष्टी आहेत जे काही आपण पाहू शकतो त्यांचे जे काही मोशन राहते ते सक्सेसफुली एक्सप्लेन केले जाते क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्सने. बट वेन वी डील्स विथ द मायक्रोस्कोपिक पार्टिकल, म्हणजे जसं पार्टिकल आपण म्हणतात इलेक्ट्रॉन आहे, प्रोटॉन आहे, असे जे पार्टिकल्स असतात त्यांचे जे मोशन असतात ते एक्सप्लेन करण्यासाठी जेव्हा क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्सचे आपण लॉज वापरतो त्या लॉजचा यूज करून आपण सक्सेसफुली त्या गोष्टी ते एक्सप्लेन करू शकत नाही. ओके, दॅट्स द लिमिटेशन ऑफ द क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स. मग त्याकरता एक नवीन फील्ड आली, दॅट इज क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स. सो द क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स इज युजफुल फॉर द explaining the motion of microscopic particle. Microscopic means or the quantum particles, जसे इलेक्ट्रॉन आहे, प्रोटॉन आहे, त्या गोष्टीचं जे मोशन आहे त्यांचं जे डिस्क्राईब करायचं असेल आपल्याला त्याचं मोशन, त्यासाठी आपण कोणत्या फील्डचा यूज करणार आहोत? कोणत्या फील्डचं? क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्सचा जिथे अप्लिकेबल होणार नाही तिथे आपण क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स वापरणार आहोत. ओके, तर 1600 शतकामध्ये एक अर्लियर डिबेट चालू होती की न्यूटॉन्स होते, त्यांनी एक थेरी मांडली होती, न्यूटॉन्स कार्पस्कुलस थेरी. त्या थेरीमध्ये त्यांनी म्हटलं होतं की जे काही लाईट आहे ते पार्टिकल नेचर शो करते. ओके, कार्पस्कुलस थेरी, कार्पस्कुलस मीन्स द पार्टिकल्स. सो द लाईट कन्सिस्ट ऑफ अ पार्टिकल. आणि त्यासोबतच एक आणखी एक थेरी आली त्याच्यामध्ये, ख्रिश्चन हायजेन्स यांनी काय सांगितलं होतं की जी लाईट आहे ती वेव्हच्या फॉर्म मध्ये असतात. ओके, न्यूटननी काय सांगितलं ते पार्टिकलच्या फॉर्म मध्ये असतात आणि हायजेन्सनी काय सांगितलं ते वेव्हच्या फॉर्म मध्ये असतात. मग दोघांचे दोन कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन वेगवेगळे होते. त्याच्यामुळे त्या टाइमला न्यूटनचा एक दर्जा वेगळाच होता, त्याच्यामुळे त्यांची थेरी त्यांनी जास्त ऍक्सेप्ट केली लोकांनी आणि हायजेन्सच्या थेरीला जास्त वाव नव्हता मिळत. ओके, लेटर ऑन दॅट कॅन बी एक्सप्लेन बाय दी थॉमस यंग 18th सेंचुरीमध्ये. 18th सेंचुरीमध्ये थॉमस यंग्स डबल स्लिट एक्सपेरिमेंट आला, त्याच्यामध्ये त्यांनी दाखवलं की यंग्सने की लाईट काय करते, वेव्ह नेचर शोज करते. मग तेव्हा कुठं हायजेन्सच्या थेरीला एक्सेप्ट केलं गेलं. ओके, तर पहा क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स कुठं फेल गेले, कोणकोणत्या थेरीज ते एक्सप्लेन करू शकले नाही. मोशन ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन अँड प्रोटॉन, इलेक्ट्रॉन आणि प्रोटॉनचं मोशन ते सक्सेसफुली एक्सप्लेन करू शकले नाही. स्टॅबिलिटी ऑफ द ॲटम एक्सप्लेन करू शकले नाही. ओरिजिन ऑफ द डिस्क्रीट स्पेक्ट्रम ऑफ ॲटम एक्सप्लेन करू शकले नाही. काही फिनॉमिना होते जसे फोटो इलेक्ट्रिक इफेक्ट होता, कॉम्प्टन इफेक्ट होता, रमन इफेक्ट होता आणि स्पेक्ट्रल डिस्ट्रीब्युशन ऑफ द ब्लॅक बॉडी, या साऱ्या काही फिनॉमिना होत्या, काही गोष्टी होत्या ते की क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स सक्सेसफुली एक्सप्लेन करू शकला नाही, तिथं ते फेल गेलं. तर मग हे जे काही फिनॉमिना होते, हे जे काही मोशन्स होते पार्टिकलचे ते एक्सप्लेन करण्यासाठी नवीन फील्ड आली, दॅट इज क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स. तर क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सचं डेव्हलपमेंट कसं झालं? बेसिकली क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द ओनली टू थेरीज. ओके, डेव्हलपमेंट स्टार्टिंग द मॅक्स प्लँक्स हायपोथेसिस 14 डिसेंबर 1900 मध्ये आली ती थेरी. त्यांनी एक फॉर्म्युला दिला आपल्याला एनर्जीचा, इज इक्वल टू NH². व्हॉट इज दी एनर्जी? एन इज इंटिजर, एच इज युअर प्लँक कॉन्स्टंट, एन इज युअर फ्रिक्वेन्सी. या थेरीमध्ये काय सांगितलं होतं मॅक्स प्लँक्सनी? लाईट काय आहे? वेव्ह आहे. ठीक आहे, लाईट काय आहे? वेव्ह आहे. कधी कधी तो पार्टिकल नेचर दाखवते. ओके, लाईट काय आहे? वेव्ह आहे आणि ते कधी कधी पार्टिकल नेचर सुद्धा दाखवते. लाईट इज अ वेव्ह, कॅन ऍक्ट ऍज अ पार्टिकल. ओके, अनंतर थेरी इज डी ब्रॉग्लीज हायपोथेसिस. यांनी सुद्धा एक थेरी पब्लिश केली 1905 मध्ये. त्यांनी फॉर्म्युला डेरिव्ह केला, लॅम्बडा इज इक्वल टू h अपॉन p, वेअर लॅम्बडा इज द वेव्हलेंथ, h इज द प्लँक कॉन्स्टंट, p इज द मोमेंटम या थेरीसाठी त्यांना नोबेल प्राइज सुद्धा भेटलं होतं. ओके, डी ब्रॉड, लुईस डी ब्रॉड. तर क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सचा व्ह्यू काय आहे? तर क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स काय म्हणते, ऑल द मॅटर्स ॲज अ वेव्ह लाईक पार्टिकल, म्हणजे जे काही मॅटर आहे, मॅटरमध्ये इलेक्ट्रॉन आहे, प्रोटॉन आहे, या गोष्टी असतात. तर ठीक आहे, त्यांना ते कसल्या प्रकारचं नेचर दाखवते, वेव्ह लाईक प्रॉपर्टीज ते सुद्धा शो करते. म्हणजे वेव्ह पार्टिकल ड्युअलिटी ते शो करते. दुसरं, एक तर ते पार्टिकल आणि वेव्ह जे आहे ते त्याचं जे मोशन असते, त्याचे जे पोझिशन वगैरे आपल्याला दाखवत असेल, ते आपण एक प्रोबॅबिलिस्टिक मॅनर मध्ये शो करतो. वेव्ह फंक्शनचा यूज करून. वेव्ह फंक्शन इज नथिंग बट युअर प्रोबॅबिलिटी फाइंडिंग द पार्टिकल. एक पर्टिक्युलर कुठेतरी या रिजन मध्ये ते असते, एक प्रोबॅबिलिटी आपण एक संभाव्यता त्याची दाखवत असतो पार्टिकल किंवा वेव्हची डिस्क्राईब करण्यासाठी. जसं क्वांटम टनेलिंग आहे, तुम्हाला माहित असेल, क्वांटम टनेल मध्ये एक बॅरियर असते, या साईडने समजा वेव्ह येऊ राहिला, त्या वेव्ह जर त्या बॅरियरला हिट करत आहेत, तर there is a slightly probability of finding the particle outside that barrier. ओके, काही प्रमाणामध्ये आपल्याला चान्सेस असतात की त्या बॅरियरच्या आउटसाइडला सुद्धा पार्टिकल फाइंड होण्याची शक्यता असते. दॅट्स द क्वांटम टनेलिंग. काही प्रॉपर्टीज आहेत जसे क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये आपण जे की ड्युअल पॅकेजेस मध्ये येतात, दोन येतात. जसं आपण हायझेनबर्ग अनसर्टनिटी प्रिन्सिपल पाहणार, त्याच्यामध्ये पोझिशन मोमेंटम ड्युअल पॅकेज मध्ये, एनर्जी टाइम, अँग्युलर मोमेंटम टाइम, असल्या काही गोष्टी आहेत जे क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये ड्युअल पॅकेजेस मध्ये येतात आणि ते तुम्ही सायमल्टेनियसली मेजर करू शकत नाही. ओके, ते आपण पाहू जेव्हा हायझेनबर्ग अनसर्टनिटी प्रिन्सिपल पाहणार आहोत त्यावेळेस. दिस इज द व्ह्यू ऑफ क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स. तर असल्या प्रकारची डेव्हलपमेंट झाली क्लास क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सची. तर क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स कुठपर्यंत म्हणते ना आपल्याला, ठीक आहे, 1 मीटरचा काहीतरी ऑब्जेक्ट आहे, त्याला आपण क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सचा यूज करणार का, दिसत आहे आपल्याला 1 मीटर आहे, म्हणजे आपण तिथे क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स, समजा 1 नॅनोमीटर आहे, त्यावेळेस आपण म्हणू इट लुक्स लाईक द क्वांटम. मग तेव्हा क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सचे रूल्स आपण तिथं यूज करू, क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्सचा तिथं हा यूज करणार. काय असते बघा, एक सेंटेन्स लिहिलेला मी इथं, वेन यू स्टार्ट गोइंग सब ॲटॉमिक ऑर इवन स्मॉलर थिंग्स गेट स्ट्रेंज. द स्ट्रेंजनेस however can lead to some pretty cool invention. जेव्हा तुम्ही सब ॲटॉमिक लेवलला म्हणजे इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रोटॉनच्या लेवलला तुम्ही स्टडी करता, त्यावेळेस ज्या गोष्टी असतात, ज्या थिंग्स आहेत तिथे, ते काय होतात, स्ट्रेंज बिहेवियर त्यांचं शोज करतात. त्याचं नेचर थोडं चेंज व्हायला लागते, बिहेवियर थोडंसं चेंज व्हायला लागते, म्हणजे ते तसं काहीतरी नवीन गोष्टी आपल्याला शिकायला भेटते, म्हणजे काहीतरी नवीन इन्व्हेन्शन्स होतात. सो काय क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये आपल्याला माहित असेल, एखादी कार आता रोडनं मूव्ह होत आहे, त्याची पोझिशन मला माहित असेल, मी सर्व सांगू शकतो की ही पोझिशन आहे त्या कारची. पोझिशन जेव्हा मला भेटणार, मी बाकीची त्याची इन्फॉर्मेशन सिस्टीमची त्या कारची मला सगळी काढता. व्हेलॉसिटी काढायचं मी त्याला डिफरन्शिएट करेल, एक्सलरेशन काढायला डबल डिफरन्शिएट करेल, त्या कारला काहीतरी मास दिलेला असेल, मी त्याच्या फोर्स काढू शकतो, या सगळ्या गोष्टी मी कॅल्क्युलेट करू शकतो. तसंच वेव्ह फंक्शन आपलं क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये आपल्याला जर पार्टिकलची पोझिशन द्यायचं काम कोण करत असेल, दॅट्स युअर वेव्ह फंक्शन. एक प्रोबॅबिलिटी देते, प्रोबॅबिलिटी ऑफ द फाइंडिंग द पार्टिकल, की तसा तो पार्टिकल असू शकतो. ठीक आहे, तर वेव्ह फंक्शन ने आपण त्या सिस्टीमला डिस्क्राईब करू शकतो इन क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये. आणि वेव्ह फंक्शन इट कॅन बी पॉझिटिव्ह, निगेटिव्ह ऑर दी कॉम्प्लेक्स व्हॅल्यू. आता क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स समजा बघा, या साईडने मी एक डायग्राम दाखवला, एक बॉल आहे, तो काहीतरी मूव्ह करत आहे, असं एक एरो दाखवलेला आहे. तर त्या ठिकाणी मी क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये जर असेल तर मी सरळ सांगणार की ही माझी पोझिशन आहे. मग इथे व्हॅल्यू सुद्धा लिहिली 11.2392 आणि त्याचं मोमेंटम सुद्धा मी इथे लिहिलेलं आहे. बट वेन यू आर इन द क्वांटम फिजिक्स, त्यावेळेस जर तुम्ही त्याची पोझिशन मेजर करत असाल तर त्यावेळेस तुमचं मोमेंटम तुम्हाला एक्झॅक्ट माहित नसणार. यू कॅनॉट टेल युअर मोमेंटम. जर तुम्हाला मोमेंटम तुम्ही त्याचं फाइंड आउट करत असाल तर तुम्हाला त्याची एक्झॅक्ट पोझिशन माहित नाही पडणार. तर जेव्हा तुम्ही मोमेंटम मेजर करसाल त्याची त्याने पोझिशन चेंज केलेली असेल क्वांटम मेकॅनिक्स मध्ये. आणि क्वांटम पार्टिकल आहेत ते इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रोटॉन, ते खूप लवकर मूव्ह होतील, त्याच्यामुळे त्याची पोझिशन जेव्हा फाइंड आउट करू आपण तेव्हा आपल्याला त्याची मोमेंटम भेटणार नाही. जेव्हा तुम्हाला मोमेंटम पाहिजे कॅल्क्युलेट करसाल तेव्हा त्याची पोझिशन चेंज होईल. सो सायमल्टेनियसली यू कॅनॉट मेजर लाईक इन द क्लासिकल मेकॅनिक्स, दिस इज माय पोझिशन, दिस इज माय मोमेंटम. But in quantum mechanics, you have to either measure the position or the momentum. So in classical mechanics, you can directly tell. Look at that, this diagram. There is an elephant which is gray in color, size is large, position this one. So you can directly tell about the position, size, and color of that elephant. While in case of the quantum elephant, you can put it into the box and box will be closed. You cannot see what inside that box. Until you open that box, you cannot tell what is the position of that elephant, what is the color of that elephant, and what is the size. So the observation are very important in case of the quantum mechanics. Until you cannot observe, you cannot tell their position, momentum, and all that thing. Okay, these are the some definitions: wave particle duality. Okay, so this is the one of the phenomena which is not explained by the classical mechanics, that is black body radiation. In the black body radiation, you can see this diagram. Okay, circular diagram, and when there is an aperture, in that aperture the radiation are coming, and which is hits this surface, inner surface of black body, which is laminated by the lamp black coating. Okay, so lamp black coating, it is one of the finest absorbing radiation material nowadays is available. About 97 to 98% it can be absorbed the radiation incident on it. So if the black body is a good absorber, it is also the good reflector of the radiation is as well. So we can see classical mechanics is only explained for the higher wavelength region in the black body spectrum. Look at that black body spectrum. Okay, this is the black body spectrum. Classical theory only explain this higher wavelength region. This is the higher wavelength region, and this one is the lower wavelength region. It cannot explain it for the lower wavelength region. That is Rayleigh's law. By using the Planck's hypothesis, we can explain the lower wavelength region as well. So this type of the spectrum is occur by using the Planck's hypothesis, the black body spectrum. In that black body spectrum, you look what is happening there. As your temperature is increasing in that direction. Okay, so look at that. Here is a peak of the first wave. Here is another wave, and their peak, and this is another wave, their peak. So what is the observation? As you are increasing the temperature, your wavelength shift of the peak is going towards the lower wavelength region. Okay, that lower wavelength region, that due to the shift of n. N is what? Integer. You know that the value of E is equal to nh nu. E is equal to n h nu. That n is there, integer. Whatever may be the temperature, as you are increasing, the shift of the peak is going the lower wavelength region. So this is explained by using this Planck's hypothesis theory. Planck's hypothesis, right? So what are the learning objectives of the black body radiation? So first of all, we're familiar with the black body radiators. What is black body? Okay, which absorb all the radiation, all the black bodies, which are the good absorber of the radiation as well as the good emitter, also emitter of the radiations as well. The Stefan-Boltzmann law is used here in the black body radiation spectrum for the estimating the total light output. Okay, for the total light output calculation estimated value, we use Stefan-Boltzmann law. This displacement law is used for the estimating the peak wavelength. Okay, whatever the curve we are seeing, that the peak wavelength are calculated measured by using this displacement law. You know that lambda m into t is equal to constant. That is your Wiens displacement law. And Rayleigh's law, right? Here is one simulation link is provided. You can click it on it and you can perform the simulation. Okay, look, this kind of the windows is open. You can click it on the play button, then this kind of the screen is open. then you have to understand what is that. First of all, see here the temperature thermometer. So you can increase or decrease the temperature by using this thermometer, and on that temperature your spectra will be observed. In x-axis you can take wavelength and y-axis spectral power density. Fine. And here is some graph values. Click on it. If you want to do what is the value of at particular point, then you can click on it, different graph values, then the graph will be shows what is its value. You can label what is the intensity of that peak. You can calculate by clicking on it. So these are the some basic information about that. So now perform will now I am increasing or decreasing. I am decreasing the temperature. For this temperature, the black body radiation spectrum is not showing in the graph. Now I'm slightly increasing the temperature. Look at that. The spectra is arising right now. Okay, this is the initial position of that spectra. Then also arising, and as I am increasing the temperature, you can observe one more thing: the peak wavelength. The peak wavelength is slightly going towards the lower wavelength region. Okay, this wavelength region it going. Look at that. Yeah. Yes. Okay, now the range is going further, so I can decrease by click on it. Okay, now increase your temperature one more time. Decrease. Okay, if I want to get graph values, I click on it, graph values. So it shows the peak at the peak y-axis. This is the value, and at this wavelength. Right. If I have the intensity calculated, I click on it, and this is the intensity at that point. 8 into 10 to the power 8 watt per meter square. You can label out which region it is going to ultraviolet. Right? The peak wavelength is going shifted towards the lower wavelength region. This kind of the simulation you can also perform. The link is provided in that PPT. This PPT I can share with the professor. You can take the PPT from professor and perform the simulations on the blackboard. Okay, this is the Planck's distribution. This is the value quantized energy in the form of quantized energy, and by using this formula, you can explain the black body radiation spectrum. This kind of the graph, I have already performed the simulation on that. This is the Rayleigh-Jeans law, fine, classical mechanically, and this is the quantum mechanically by using the Max Planck's formula. E is equal to NH. This is the photon energy is equal to h, all that things you know. Okay, now this is the photoelectric effect. It is firstly discovered by the Heinrich Hertz in 1887, but due to the some that kind the Planck's hypothesis is not available that time. So by using the Planck's hypothesis, Einstein successfully explained this photoelectric effect in 1905. For that, he received the Nobel Prize also. So what is photoelectric effect? When you hit the UV light on that metal plate, okay, this is the metal plate. Here is a light which is coming, which is hitting on that metal plate. When it hit the metal plate, the electrons are ejected, and this ejected electron are going towards the collecting plate. Okay, here the collecting plate is there, and here is a metal plate. If the photon of the suitable frequency is incident on that metal plate, so it can be ejected from this metal plate is the ejected electron, and that travels towards the collecting plate. So whatever the ejected electron are known as photoelectron. This ejected electron is known as photoelectron. This kind of the phenomenon is known as photoelectric effect. So there are some experimental findings of the photoelectric effect. First one is that the emission of the electron from the metal surface is instantaneous process. So there is no time lag between the incident photon and emitted electron. So there is an instantaneous process. Then there is a minimum frequency below which no any electron emission takes place. There is a certain frequency below which the emission of the electron cannot be takes place. I can show in the simulation all that observation. First, you can read it. The photocurrent increases as increase in the intensity. If you are increasing the intensity, then your photocurrent is increases. If you increase the negative potential, means collector plate, if you are increasing the potential towards the collector plate at a certain potential, the electrons from the emitting from the metal surface, they cannot reach the collector. Okay, so your photoelectric current will be zero. That potential, when your photocurrent is zero, is known as stopping potential, means your ejected electron cannot reach the collector. If we further increase the frequency of the stopping potential increases, which means the kinetic energies of the material electron is increasing. Okay, so now we perform the simulation. This is the link, you can click on it. This kind of the window not here. Okay. You can simply copy it. You can simply copy this link. Control C. Go to the Google. And paste. Okay, photoelectric effect. This kind of the window is open. Here is a continue tab. You can click it on it, and there is some information. Look at that. What is happened? Here is the your incident photons which are coming from the UV light. Okay, the photons are incident on. This is the my metal plate. Which one is the sodium? I have taken here the sodium. Here is a collector plate. The emitted electron. These are the electrons which are moving towards this direction, and this electron are known as the photoelectron. Here is an emitter which measures the current, and this is my power supply. Fine. Here is the photon density. I have a control. If I want to increase, I can increase in that direction. You want to decrease the photon density. Photon density means the number of photons are coming from this direction. If I want to increase, then I can increase this step. If I want to increase the voltage, I can use this one. If I want to report the data, simply click on it. Here is the wavelength and frequency region. You can see. Okay, here is a different options. If I want to change the metal plate of this metal plate, I can choose any one of that. Like I want to take aluminum metal plate, I can choose from here also. Okay, now perform the simulations. Okay, look at that. These are the photons are incident on the metal plate. Now I am increasing the photon density. Look at that. Number of photon incident on it is increases, and the number of electrons are ejected from that metal plate is also increases. Fine. If I want to decrease, look at that. Now I have decreases the photon density, then photons coming in between the time lags. Yeah, you can do that also. Now, if this is the tab where I can change my wavelength and the frequency. Look at that. At that point, the electrons are ejected from the metal plate. Air is also the ejected, right? Air is also ejected in that wavelength and frequency. Now I am increasing what? The wavelength. Look at that, up to which the electrons are ejected from the metal plate. Look at that. Okay, at this position, no any emission of the electron takes place from the metal plate. Okay, this is what frequency? This frequency is known as threshold frequency, the minimum frequency below which the electron emission cannot be takes place. Now you are looking, there is no any emission of the electron has been takes place. Okay, further I reduce, then further also the emission of the electron does not takes place. So, but if I am increasing the frequency, there is emission of the electron takes place. Look at that. At that position, the electron emission is been takes place. At this position, there no any further emission of the electron takes place. This is frequency. This frequency is known as cutoff frequency. Fine. Now, if I am increasing the voltage to the collector, look at that. The at this voltage, the electrons are emitted from the metal surface, but it cannot be reached towards the collector plate. So your photocurrent, this is your what the ammeter shows, the photocurrent will be zero. That potential means that potential is known as stopping potential. Stopping potential means at the position where your photocurrent becomes zero. That position is known as photocurrent, stopping potential. At that potential, your photocurrent becomes zero is known as stopping potential. If further I increase stopping potential, then no any electron can be reach this metal collector plate. So your photocurrent becomes zero. Below which, okay, at that position, you can see there is a ammeter shows the 3.34 ampere current. Ampere current shows. So means what? There is your photoelectrons are reaches towards this collector plates. So there is a current. Fine. So you can get some idea. Look at that. When the photon hits on the metal surface, there is a instantaneous process. There is an immediate electron will be ejected from that metal surface. So it is an instantaneous process. These are the some experimental findings observed by the Einstein. Right? These are the some experimental findings. This kind of the simulation you can also perform. The link will be given in that PPT. You can Einstein photoelectric equation. After performing the simulation on the photoelectric effect, we see now Einstein photoelectric equation. In this case, the energy of the incident photon can be utilized in two ways. Some part of the energy is for the eject the electron from the metal surface, which is known as a photoelectric work function, and remaining part of the energy is providing the kinetic energy to the emitted electron, that is 1 by 2 m square. So the total energy equation can be written as H nu is equal to W0 plus 1 by 2 m square, where H nu is the energy of the incident photon. That some part of that energy is for the photoelectric work function, and remaining part is for the Einstein, kinetic energy of that electron. So this is called as Einstein photoelectric equation. So you can write an expression for that. H nu is equal to W0 plus kinetic energy max. So W0 is your photoelectric work function. It can be written like this: H nu 0 plus kinetic energy. From this equation, you can calculate the kinetic energy, which is equal to H in bracket nu minus nu 0. Right? So the new term is coiled by the Einstein, that is photons. In the earlier, it is called as a quanta. So now it is called as a photon. Nowadays, it is called as a photons. So now we see the Compton effect. This is the photograph of the Arthur-Holly Compton, which gives a Compton effect in 1923. In this experiment, we use a monochromatic beam of the X-ray having the energy h nu and the momentum h upon lambda, which is incident on this scattering material. After hitting that scattering material, it is observed that the photon of the X-ray, which is moves to the another position. That means it is scattered in different direction, and remaining and found that having the energy of the scatter photon is h nu dash, and the momentum is h upon lambda dash. So it is found that the energy of the scatter photon is less than as compared to the energy of the incident photon. So there is a loss of the energy in the incident photons. So what happens when the photon is incident on this in the scattering material? So it is found that the remaining loss of the energy is provided to the electrons present in this scattering material. So the electron are rejected from this scattering material and gain and moves with velocity v in this direction. So by using the conservation of linear momentum and the conservation of the energy, we derive the Compton derived a formula which is useful for the calculating the wavelength Compton shift, which is lambda dash minus lambda is equal to lambda delta lambda is equal to h upon m0 c in bracket 1 minus cos theta, where delta lambda is nothing but the Compton shift and theta is your scattering angle, and h upon m0 c is known as Compton wavelength, where h is your Planck constant, m0 is the mass, c is the speed of the light. If you are putting the values in that equation, you get the value 0.0243 angstrom unit. So after performing the experiment, Compton observed this kind of the peaks. For the incident scattering angle is 0, then we get only one peak like this. Look at that first diagram. If the scattering angle is 45 degree, then we get the two peaks which are adjacent to each other, and the peak which are adjacent to the first one is higher than the first one. That's due to the wavelength of the scattering photon is much higher as compared to the first incident photon. So as you are increasing the scattering angle, look at that, theta is equal to 0, 45 degree, 90 degree, and 135 degree. So you get the wavelength shift, that is lambda delta lambda is also increases. Such kind of the experimental peaks is observed in Compton effect. Okay, so now we see the de Broglie's hypothesis. This is the very famous hypothesis given by the de Broglie in 1924, and he introduced that the electromagnetic waves behaves like a particle, and the particle like electron behaves like a wave called the matter waves. So he derived the expression for the wavelength of the matter waves. Also, the light can exhibit both kind of the nature, wave nature as well as the particle nature. In some cases, there is a like phenomena, interference, diffraction, and the polarization. This phenomena shows that the light behaves as a wave, and in other case, like a photoelectric effect and quantum effect, that shows that the light shows the particle nature. For the deriving this de Broglie's wavelength formula, we have to consider the energy of the photon, which is equal to h nu, and the Einstein's mass energy relation is equal to mc square. If you equate both the equation, you can calculate, you can get the lambda. Lambda is equal to h upon mc. So you can directly write h upon h, lambda is equal to h upon p, where p is your momentum, lambda is wavelength, and h is your Planck constant. So now we see the plane progressive wave. This is the equation which can be written for the plane progressive wave. Psi is equal to exponential of kx minus omega t, where k is the propagation constant, omega is your angular velocity, and x and t are the space and time coordinates, where psi is your wave function for the plane progressive wave. So by using this equation, we can define the group velocity and phase velocity. So first of all, first we see the phase velocity. The velocity with which a plane progressive wave travels forward is called as a phase velocity. Means the velocity with which the plane progressive is moving, that is called as a phase velocity, which is denoted by the Vp. And you can write a formula by using the plane progressive wave. equation. Vp is equal to minus coefficient of t divided by coefficient of x. So what is the coefficient of t? Minus omega. And what is the coefficient of x? Is k. So minus of minus omega means omega divided by coefficient of x means k. So you can get the formula for the phase velocity. Vp is equal to omega by p. Similarly, you can define for the group velocity, which is equal to d omega by dk. Now we see the wave packet. This is the wave packet. Inside that, the alternate maximum and maximum intensity peaks and lower intensity peaks will there, and that can be localized in this region. So that indicates what? There is a probability of finding the particle inside this wave packet is maximum. So your particle will be located inside this, and here the constructive interference will be takes place, and outside this boundary there is a destructive interference will be takes place, and there is a probability of finding the particle will be 0. So this is the definition of the wave packet. A wave packet consists of a group of the waves with phases and amplitude so chosen that they interfere constructively over the small region of the space where the particle is located. The constructive interference will be takes place that shows that the particle will be there. Means the position of the particle we get, and outside which they produce a destructive interference. There is a simulation link is also available, like that's black body radiation spectrum and the photoelectric work function. You can go through this website and perform the simulation. So next is the relation between the group velocity and phase velocity. This is the relation between the group velocity and phase velocity. Group velocity, which is equal to Vp minus lambda into dVp upon d lambda. So in case of the dispersive medium, the group velocity is less than the phase velocity, while in case of the non-dispersive medium, your group velocity is equal to phase velocity. Now we can see the Davidson and Germer experiment. This is the experiment performed by the 1925 by the Davidson and the Germer. So this is the first experimental proof shows that the electron behaves as a wave. Electron shows the wave nature. They have also measured the de Broglie's wavelength of slow electron by using diffraction method. So look at that. This is the experimental arrangement of the Davidson and Germer experiment. Here is the high tension power supply. This one is the low tension power supply. This is your filament. After supplying the power supply, it get heated, and the beam of the electron it can be emitted. So it can be act as an electron gun. This is my unequal crystal, and here is your detector. When the electrons are coming from this electron gun filament, it can be incident on this target, which is the nickel crystal. After incident, it's diffracted in all possible direction. So this detector can be moved in the direction. So it is observed that at some position it gets the higher intensity peaks, and some other positions it gets the lower intensity peaks. That means that where the higher intensity peak observed, when there is a constructive interference will be takes place. When the intensity peak is minimum, that means that there's a destructive interference will be observed. So this shows that the electron are coming from this filament after the scattering in all possible direction that consists of the waves, that is constructive and destructive interference is occurring. So means at 45 volt it is observed that for that the scattering angle will be 50 degree. There is a distribution of the electron is a maximum distribution of the electron occur. For that we have find out this kind of the figure. At 44 volt we get this kind of the diagram, and this is for 48 volt, this one is for the 54 volt, this one is for the 60 volt. But at the 54 volt, for that scattering angle is 50 degree, we get this kind of the bump. That shows that you get the wave nature, that shows like a wave, that kind of the wave. Fine. So by using the Bragg's law, 2d sin theta is equal to lambda, where d is the interplanar spacing. For the nickel crystal, it is 0.091. If you put all the values, then we get the lambda is equal to 0.169165 nanometer. Here is a de Broglie formula for the calculation of the wavelength. Lambda is equal to 12.26 divided by under root of V. V in this case is your 54 volt. So you can put that value and you get the wavelength. Lambda is equal to 0.166 nanometer. So this wavelength and this wavelength matches with each other. That means that experimental and the theoretical values are very well matched with each other. So this is all about the division and Heisenberg division and Germer's principle experiment. Now we see the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, in the simultaneous measurement of the position and the momentum, it is not possible. Okay, so it is impossible to the measure the simultaneously position the momentum is not possible. So at a time you can measure only one thing. If you are measuring the position, then you cannot measure the momentum. If you are measuring the momentum, you cannot tell the where this particle is located, position of that particle. So their product must be greater than or equal to h cross, and h cross is equal to h upon 2 pi. So in case of the energy and time, this is the different form of Heisenberg uncertainty principle in case of the energy and time. This is the another form of Heisenberg uncertainty principle in case of the angular momentum and angular position. So this is the uncertainty principle by the diffraction of the, these are the thought experiment. In this case, single slit has been taken instead of beam visible. We have to find out the position and the momentum in this case. So in this case, the position will find out delta x is lambda upon 2 sin theta by using the Bragg's law, and momentum will be finding will be 2p sin theta. If you take their product, you can cancel out lambda into p, and we know that lambda is equal to h upon p by the de Broglie's hypothesis. If you put there, pp will get cancelled, and this is the nothing but the Heisenberg uncertainty. Similarly, you can go through the another thought experiment. Okay, so now we see the wave function. Wave function in the quantum mechanics is the unique identity of the system. It concerns the information about that system. Like us, we have the Aadhaar card. That Aadhaar card number contains the unique number, which can be, if the government want to the information about you, they can get it from that using this simple number, simply that Aadhaar card number. Likewise, in case of the system of the quantum mechanical system, we want to the information about that system. If you know the wave function, we get the information about that system. Okay, so it is an wave function. It is denoted by the sign, and it is nothing but the probability of the finding the particle. Okay, it can be negative or the positive or the complex quantity. So if you take, this is the probability density if square of that wave function, it can be written as psi star into psi. Okay, physical significance of the wave function. The wave function psi has no direct physical meaning. It is a complex quantity, first of all, and the wave function describes the position of the particle. Okay, and then if you square it, then you get the probability amplitude. This is the case of the normalization. The integration of minus infinity plus infinity sine to psi star dx dy dz is equal to 1. This is the case of normalization condition. Okay, so these are the properties of the wave function. It must be finite, it must be single valued, it must be continuous, and it must be normalized. So these are the there are the two Schrodinger equation. One is the time independent and time dependent. So the Schrodinger equation plays an important role in case of the quantum mechanics. In classical mechanics, Newton's second law will play the major role. Yes, and similarly, the Schrodinger equation also plays a major role in case of the quantum mechanics. So for that, you have to be write this wave function. From that, you have to be derived in one-dimensional and three-dimensional Schrodinger equation. This is the one-dimensional Schrodinger equation, time independent, It can be written as del 2 psi upon del x square plus twice m0 upon h cross square in bracket e minus v into psi is equal to 0. For the 3-dimensional, it can be written like this. Okay. Either it is in another form. And similarly, you can write the Schrodinger dependent equation, time dependent equation. So it is found that I h cross del psi upon del t is equal to minus s cross square upon twice m del 2 psi upon del x square plus b psi. Okay, this is nothing but your energy operator. This is your kinetic energy, and this is your potential energy. So Schrodinger time dependent Schrodinger equation contains the total energy is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. Okay, thank you. That's all about the some basic fundamental things about the quantum mechanics. I am very much thankful to the organizer, convener, and the coordinator of the lecture series on the concept of modern physics by the organized by Department of Physics, Sri Shivaji Science College, Chikli, Buldana. And if any question to the student, they can directly contact with me. You can take my contact details from the profile card answer. They will provide you. In case of any difficulty, you can call me or message me. Okay, hope so you get the things what I shown to you. Thank you very much.